So my name is Rania Dean. I'm an Israeli-American Druze. I lived here for 13 years. Before that, I was born, of course, in Israel, in northern Israel, in a village called Magar. Now it's a city. I am sixth generation in Israel. I grew up in a political home. My dad used to be the vice mayor of our, city, or back then village. He used to be very involved in politics. He used to be a central member of the Likud. So I grew up in a very political home. I was very active when I was young. I volunteered, led some initiatives, was in the student council. So growing this way, I had a knowledge, first of all, the background, and also I observed the importance of being active in Israel, because in Israel we used to watch news all the time. Here we don't, but in Israel, this is the culture. And in a very early age, I led organization. I was CEO of an organization. I led other initiatives. I was a project manager for a few educational initiatives slash advocacy. So, for example, one of them was International Peace Project with, it was online back then. It was called Yalla Young Leaders. We met with young people from the Arab world. We tried to make peace, one-on-one peace, to let the people know who the real Israeli is beyond their brainwashing media and the other agendas that try to picture the Israeli as this violent person. That was back then. When I came here, I took a break. I raised my two sons here, and now they are 11 and 10. 3 years ago, October 7th, we had it, we experienced it. So everyone that knew what I used to do, because I used also to be advocate for Israel through Stand With Us. I did the Tikva for leadership. I was elected to be the former President Shimon Peres' young advisor. So they knew that I have the background, and we were in a crisis. I felt the obligation to join the advocacy efforts again. And since then, I'm on this massacre, unfortunately, after massacre, first October 7th, then the Druze and other minorities in the Middle East. And me being a Druze, being this bridge between cultures, having the understanding not only of the language, but the culture and the politics. I had this obligation to do something. I initiated my organization, and it's called Covenant. It refers to Brit Damim, which means the Brit Damim that the Druze people and the Jewish people have. I connected to our historical ancient history. We are I will tell about that if you want me to say later what is this connection, but this is about me now. Yes. So first, let me start by congratulations every family that got their dear people back, dear son or daughter or father. I have personally one dear friend. Her name is Tammy. Today she got her son back, Rome. I held Tammy here, me and my friend Sarah Cohen. We hosted Tammy here. We helped her speak about her issue in every possible platform that we could help her with, as well as other survivors. I met also with so many survivors. I met with Dean also Tisler. He was advocating for he is a survivor, but he was advocating for his friend Bar, who was a hostage. So today, it's not only on a national aspect for me, it's a personal. I lost one of my dear friends on the first day, on October 7th. He was among the first victims. His name is Ophir Lefstein. He was the mayor of Kfar Aza. I had also my former, colleague or boss. He doesn't like to call him boss, but his name is Yosef Angel Abiyair, we called him. His grandchild was kidnapped, and he was returned because he was a minor. So I have it. I feel it. I know so many soldiers, Druze soldiers that we lost during this war. So today is a very important day for me on a personal aspect as an Israeli as well. I have to tell you that while we are celebrating today, there are people in Syria that are still missing. Their fate is unknown, because we are talking about more than 1,000 of missing people. Many of them are hostages, known as hostages. Most of them are women and children. We know about human trafficking cases. They are selling them for as sex slaves. They are selling them, trading them. It's a very hard situation. Most of them, we don't even know where they are or whether they are still alive or not, because there is no communication. They don't disclose any information. So the situation is very hard there. We have even still bodies that haven't buried yet. More than 80 days after the massacre, we still have bodies that haven't buried yet. And the reason is that the government there is not cooperative. They try to play it the good cop game that, oh, we are not responsible for the massacre. Those are the Bedouins, or it's a sectarian violence, and we are trying to solve the problem. But we all know with, proved recordings and footages from the scenes itself, those footages that they themselves, the national security of the interim Syrian regime, they took themselves. I don't need to explain to you or your audience, because we experienced the same pattern during October 7th and no one believed. They said this is AI, this is not true. Same pattern is happening again and again. Now with the Druze in Syria, it happened also a month before, earlier, with the Christians in Syria. It happened with the Alawites in Syria. It's happening now in Sudan. So we need to look at this issue on a macro level. Now we are dealing, today is a big day for Israel, but it's not over. And I don't see the end for it. Some people are hopeful that now the Arab countries are joining these efforts, peace is happening. I'm so worried, to be honest. I don't want to be very optimistic because we were very optimistic after Oslo. We were very optimistic. Some people, I wasn't. Some people were very optimistic after the 2005 withdrawal from, when they dismantled the settlements. This optimism is very risky. I think that we as Israeli, we know better. We need to be very careful. And for the Druze people, I'm trying to tell them, to help them from an Israeli point of view, that this issue is part of a bigger agenda, bigger ideology. They're not the target, they are the obstacle. As soon as this obstacle is removed, they're gonna look for the next step. And they say, Al-Quds tantadiruna. I'm gonna tell you a phrase that now Julani, that now is the president of Syria, he said it, Al-Quds tantadiruna bi-idhnillah, which means Jerusalem is waiting for us, with the help of Allah. What that means? That means that any step, any diplomatic step that they do is just a break, in my opinion. I'm sorry to be pessimistic, but I'm just telling you this because I want every Israeli to be very careful, super careful of being very optimistic. And I'm super, I'm someone who believes in peace. I believe in peace. I believe in diplomatic ways. I believe in Abrahamic Accords in general. I think that economical and social and financial ties with the Arab countries will just benefit the region. I'm just trying to see here. Don't look at your partners naively. Always be careful. Always double, triple check every step. If they want to come and invest in Israel, why is that? Is it a financial jihad? Is it another way to conquer Israel? I'm serious. This is the truth. This is the reality we live in. We don't need to be very naive. That's my message to every Israeli, every businessman, every person who wanna do business with the Arab countries or now wanna trust Arab countries. Be careful, because their agenda is not only about bombing themselves, not only about jihad. It has financial jihad. It has cultural jihad. And they're not shy to hide it. They say it every day. Well, I read once a book. It's called, I think you can find it on Amazon. It's called the 100 Years Master Plan, if I'm not wrong. It tells about all these steps that they are taking, how they want to conquer every piece of earth to become a Muslim under the Sharia law state. Now here we have to be very careful with the rhetorics or with the concepts. We cannot attack all Muslims. Not all Muslims believe in this. There are so many decent, brave Muslims that are even now stepping up and talking and protecting Israel. And for those, to be honest, I was in another podcast 2 days ago. There were two young Muslim women. They've been working on this issue for years, and they are furious advocates for Western values and for Israel, and they're warning from, that radical Islam. We have to differentiate. It's very important because when we include all Muslims, we're given these radicals a gift. They have now the excuse to tell them, see, they hate you, see, which is not true, of course. When we speak about this radical agenda within the Islam, but we need to be very careful with what we say because we need, some people will translate it differently. So here I'm talking about those radicals among the Islam that are using the Islamic textbooks to justify their actions, to move the people according to the Sharia, and that they have this agenda or ideology or ambition or vision to establish a Sharia law state in every piece of earth. That's their goal, in every piece of earth. Now, in the past, they were bombing themselves. They were just calling for jihad in the old-fashioned way, just bomb your buses, stab people from the back, kidnap people. Recently, in the last, let's say, 25 years, they shifted. Now we have the oil and everything. They shifted. They have the financial power. They are trying to invade, in their concepts, of course, invade the West and every piece of earth by buying properties, by giving more births, by invading the educational institutions and changing the narrative of every country that they live in. I once heard a mufti. He said one sentence that summarized everything. And this mufti was speaking in Europe. He said, I'm gonna say it in Arabic and then can translate it. إن لم تستطيعوا غزوهم بالسلاح فبالبنون وإن لم تستطيعوا غزوهم بالبنون فبالفكر. Now, what that means, if you cannot invade them with the help of the weapons, invade them with the kids, which means with producing more kids in Western countries. If you cannot invade them with kids, invade them intellectually. And after October 7th, you saw what is happening in Europe and what is happening here in the USA. So this is the culture that we need to be aware of. Not all Muslims, or not many decent Muslims, are good, and they're contributing to the countries, and they are themselves our victim. We are talking about this ideology that we need all of us to be united against. It hits everyone's belief in the core. It want to remove their identity and dignity. If you noticed in the last massacre against the Druze, and when I say the last massacre, because this is I think the 5th massacre that this ISIS-like regime had committed. They committed 3 main massacres before they became the interim presidents. They took over the presidency in Syria, sorry. They committed 3 massacres the last 14 years. And then since December, they committed 4 major massacres. 1 against the Alawites, 1 against the Christians, and 2 against the Druze. One was around Damascus, and was in Sahnaya and Jeromana. It's the villages where Druze live. And the second one, which was the biggest or the most brutal one, was in Sweda. I don't know if you are aware of the numbers. It was for 7 days, October-like massacre, 7 days and nights. They killed over 2,000. They kidnapped over 1,000. They raped over 560 women. 97 of them are pregnant now, and they are in shelters. It didn't stop. They destroyed 36 villages of the Druze, and they're not allowing them to go back and bury their deceased. Some of the bodies are still in the unknown. Now, it's not over yet. The government is committing a deliberate starvation siege. They are blocking all aid, and the very minimum aid that is entering either from Israel or from the Red Crescent, but the Red Crescent somehow is compromised as well. We know that they steal some of the aid that is coming as donations. They claim property and they say that they are the ones helping, which is not true. Of course, we know that. They are still kidnapping Druze people on that road, Syria. It's called Basra Sham. They are still kidnapping people. They are still shooting at people and killing people. Just 2 days ago, they killed a young Druze man with a drone. And now who control drones? Only the government control drones there. It's not a regular drone. It's a military one. So we know that they are still doing some stuff that is aiming to annihilate the minorities, annihilate their dignity, annihilate their identity. They cut the mustaches. I don't know if you saw these videos cutting the mustaches and the beards of the Druze people, which means cutting the religious rank symbols, because mustache and beard symbolizes in the Druze community the religious rank. So just think about it. When someone wants to remove and eliminate any religious symbol or ethnic symbol, they destroy 20 shrines, Druze shrines, and 6 churches in Sweden itself, because in Sweden there are 10% Christians. They massacred Christians. One whole family was massacred in Sweden that are Christian. Now, this is the picture. I just wanted to put you there to see how brutal, how hard it is, and the world is silent. No one is speaking about it. No one is talking about it. This is so brutal, and it's just on our northern border. Can you imagine the Druze will be gone? Who's going to control that area? So their agenda is not going to stop there. And as I said, they have the time. They are very patient, and they are willing to have any deals to gain time and reignite their power and strength. That's the picture, unfortunately. Nigeria, what is happening with the Christians in Africa right now? More than 50,000 have been killed. First, it's the hardest issue. That's the main issue, and that's the main problem, that people are not connecting the dots. People are not aware of the other people's suffering. Like, we know about the Druze because we are Druze, live in Israel, we have special ties, it's close geographically to us. But I'm sure not every Israeli knows about what is happening with the Christians in Africa. Not every almost most of the Americans don't know what is happening in Syria now. Even not, forget about the Druze or the Alawites or the Yazidis or the Kurdish people. They don't know what is happening with the Christians in Syria. And I know, because I'm familiar with the mentality here. The reasons, there are so many. First, and the most important, I guess, as I said, as part of the cultural financial jihad, they know, they are very smart and very calculated. They know that if they buy all the mainstream media, it's going to affect the narrative. So we saw that along the last 20 or 25 years, most of the investments of the Gulf cities, especially Qatar, are buying stocks in CNN or in BBC or in whatever mainstream media that is successful that they find. Now, the whole narrative within these channels had changed, had twisted. If we witnessed that in October 7th, now we witness that with the Druze in Syria. Now it's silenced. We tried to contact, I was very active also during the October 7th massacre. We tried to contact every decent mainstream media. It's either silenced, they don't even respond to us. And when they do, they have like very small item. Now, I know that none of the mainstream media did or covered anything about the Druze massacre, except CNN only recently, because there was a Druze reporter within the CNN. He's a worker there. He struggled and he fought for that for months, and finally they did it. He said it was even, I had a podcast yesterday not podcast, sorry, Zoom meeting with him yesterday, and he explained the struggle to convince his colleagues to speak about this massacre, as if this massacre doesn't matter. Now, after all, after all this challenge, he succeeded on passing this, and they did the item. Now, if you go to CNN, you would never see this item on their main page. You need to know about this item and to go look, or someone to send you the link, but you wouldn't discover it by your own. So this is another deliberate way to, hide the truth. Now, another thing, it's the financial jihad, as I said. I mean to use these concepts. I mean to use this concept to make you aware of every step that they do has a goal. It's not just funding a successful mainstream media. No, it's controlling this mainstream media. Same with the professors in the universities. Look at Berkeley University, look at Harvard University, see who is the main donor at these universities. Harvard University, for the last 3 years, got the most donations, and up until Trump's administration. I know now they are taking some steps to prevent that. Up until Trump's administration, the biggest donor was China. Why would China invest in American universities such as Harvard? Qatar is the second donor. Why would they invest? Did you know that we figured out that Lebanon and Syria 3 years ago were donating money to American universities? Now, Syria and Lebanon are starving. They don't have a penny to to fund their own. So how come they are funding American universities? We all know that it was Iranian money that is coming through Syrian or Lebanese channels, because it's possible. So we see the web that they are trying to build around every media or educational institution to control it. Here in the USA, we have a big struggle, to be honest. Now, you ask something very important, why even in Israel we don't hear about this as a warning sign. I think we in Israel are so busy with so many wars around us. Don't forget that the last 3 years specifically, we were busy with the war in Gaza, the hostages, the October 7th aftermath, the survivors, the problems within. We have left and right problems. We were busy with the Iranian attack, war, the Houthis, the Lebanese, and we had also some threat from the Syrian port. So can you imagine a small country dealing with all of this after being post-traumatic, every single one of us? How can we try now to deal with a bigger picture? You are wounded all over your body. You need to heal these wounds first to start thinking about other survivals, to buy a bigger home or to protect your home. So we have an emergency situation since 1948, and Israel is always busy with this emergency situation. I think this is the problem for Israel. For the rest of the world, it's different. As I said, controlling the narrative in any way possible. They are controlling the narrative in Europe, in the USA, in everywhere. I know that this is not the best deal that we can get. For me, as Israeli now, our manners, how we value human beings, we know that for Israel, returning every hostage is a holy matter. No matter the deal, no matter how many terrorists we're gonna free. Because for me, I'm so proud of this issue. I'm so proud of my country that would never leave anyone behind. This is what is country all about, to protect its citizens. This is why people in the ancient life established the countries, to have this entity that will protect them from foreign powers. For me, I see this step as a very blessed step by Israel, that despite everything, despite having this deal, like It's not the best deal, but despite everything, we are willing to do anything to return our hostages. I'm so proud of that, and I would never give this away, no matter what. Now, as for the Palestinians themselves, I think they're gonna repeat exactly the same pattern that had happened in 2005. I was in the university, I guess. I still remember the executional, how they were hanging people, the PLO people in Gaza. I'm sure it's gonna happen. People don't change their skin nor their ideology in one night. Not for millions of dollars, not for a great beach, not for nothing. This is a very rooted ideology. They teach their kids since day one. I heard once a friend of mine, his name is Dor Shachar. He was Palestinian in Gaza and he converted to Judaism. He told me at my home here, he was my guest. He told me how they were teaching them math in a way to say, instead of saying 1 + 1 = 2 or 3 - 1 = 2, they were telling them in kindergarten, three Israeli soldiers, if we kill one soldier, how many soldiers will we be left with? And they were saying 2 Israeli soldiers. This is the culture that we are dealing with. It didn't vanish. They didn't take any break. The opposite, they got more power. They were funded very nicely by the UN and UNRWA the last years. They were funded by Qatar. They were funded by Iran. So I don't see this going away anywhere soon. I think that now we need to take this break to heal from within, to give closure to those who lived in the uncertain for 2 years, knowing that their beloved ones are in hell, and to try also to build our plans for the next day. Not to be very optimistic, to just try to build our plans, whether military, whether diplomatic, whether lobbying, whether any plan that you can think of to how to challenge any obstacle next, because unfortunately, I'm not very pessimistic, even though I know this deal will make some big Arab countries think twice of doing anything wrong. But I know that they are also very committed with their agenda, very. And imagine this, I just want to end with this. Imagine someone who is now here and you're telling him, oh, give away all of your achievements. For them, these are achievements. And go back to point zero. Why would they? No, give me the advantage that you are giving me. I'm going to add it up to my achievements. I'm going to elevate my achievements. This is how I see it. I'm not seeing the other way back, no. But you know who I am to analyze these things. It's just my own thinking, because you never know unless they speak. You don't need to read their minds. It's their, this is what I always say, it's their mission and their obligation to show us themselves. It's not our obligation neither to defend them or to say, oh, this is a good Muslim, this is a bad Muslim. Their actions will show that. I want to tell you just a small thing. During the Druze massacre in Sweden, not even one protest from the Sunnis, which is the majority in Syria, came and said, we don't agree with what is happening. Not even one. So everyone that is silent, for me, is compromised until he proves the opposite, for me. But I was talking about the terminology that we use. We shall never take this and generalize. In our terminology, we need to always differentiate. I'm not saying locate them and test them and see who is good and who is bad. In our terminology, it's our responsibility, because in the Druze religion, word is holy. If you know about the Druze religion, word is a fundamental. Everything that you take out of your mouth can affect not only yourself, but the others. So we need to be very careful using Muslims. We can use radical Islam or Sharia law agenda or Salafi jihadi branch, which is the main thing of radical Islam, but not use Muslims. So this is our responsibility. Their responsibility is to act, to say that they are not agreeing or refusing. I think first to understand your enemy, how he thinks. As I said, you need to know what his main goal. If you don't know what is his main goal, you would think naively about every step that they take. Any peace agreement would be very nice. Any investment would be very nice. Any deal or coalition. Do you know that now there is a coalition that is formed between Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and another country? I'm so sorry, I forgot now. I have a blackout. But they have a coalition now to weaken the American and the Western coalition militarily. So these things, if we are not aware of what they are doing also, not only what they think, how they think, also what agreements they are forming, what deals they are doing on the side, because everything has a goal. This is understanding your opponent. I'm not gonna call them enemies anymore because I know there is Abrahamic Accords deal is forming. I'm not gonna be against anything that is gonna, give us hope. I want hope. I need the hope, but we need to be very careful, very, very aware of what they are doing, and very aware of what they want to do in Israel, within Israel. Now, this is the first step. Second step, on the macro level, again, trying to challenge these organizations that are feeding the monster. I'm gonna give you one example, the UN. The UN is no longer effective, in my opinion. Dismantling and defunding the UN, for me, is the first step towards fighting terrorism. And don't laugh at me. I think that this organization is compromised. This organization is the main source of the whole issue in Gaza, at least. We know that UNRWA is compromised. Every organization, every committee in the UN is compromised now. Defunding the UN is, I think, is a good goal to focus on, to have campaigns to fight, because I don't think it's effective anymore. It's the opposite. It's negative. It's feeding the monster. Other organizations like the BDS. Do you know that Mamdani, that is now most probably gonna be the mayor of New York, is a huge supporter of BDS. BDS calls itself as a peace organization, but we all know what they do on the ground. So I think some organizations in Israel and in the West that believe that there is a threat, sorry, because you need to believe first that there is a threat. So if you believe that there is a threat that we need to treat, they need to unite powers to fight these organizations that are feeding the monster. Third thing, on the micro level, as Israel, I'm so happy and thankful that now at least we are more proactive in our response, not defensive. Up until October 7th, we were very defensive. We waited for the threat to form, to gain power. We didn't initiate any retaliation until they attack us, until we get the first, slap on the face, and then we wake up and then we defend ourselves. I noticed the last 3 years that Israel is more proactive. Whenever there is a threat, even very minor, they go and they attack it. They attacked in the heart of Iran. They attacked in the heart of Qatar. I'm so satisfied, because if we don't do that, they're gonna grow up and they're gonna attack us. And October 7 will look like a joke. I'm so sorry to say that. So we need to be very aware. The fourth, is it the fourth or the fifth? the fourth thing, I think, the Middle East. Everyone thinks that it's only Arabs and Muslims, and Israel is the only minority there. In my opinion, it's not like that. We have so many minorities. We have the Druze, we have the Yazidis, the Christians, the Alawites, the Kurdish people. We have Armenian even live now in the Middle East. We have Ahmadis. We have so many, even within the Muslim themselves. They have Baha'is. There are groups that cut out of this agenda or this ideology. We need to unite powers. If we are united as minorities, we're gonna form a coalition that is more powerful. If we work in coordination, we're gonna be a really serious power in the Middle East. This is for the long term, gonna blame any imminent threat. But if every minority and every group works by itself, we're gonna remain weak, because you cannot with a small boat sail or go through a storm in the ocean. You have to connect them to build a bigger one, to be more resilient. I think uniting efforts as minorities, work in coordination is very effective and very essential for the long term. And most importantly, and I have to say it because I'm Israeli and I care, we in Israel, we need to unite more. We don't need to be so critical. We don't need to be so, sharp with our critics, because we need to build this country again. After October 7th, I feel that our country, we need to be rebuilt again. We need to be somehow patient also. Things take time. And we need to support, even if we don't agree ideologically, we need to support the steps. I don't look now in a crisis period of time whether I agree with this politician or not. Yeah, I have my opinions. I don't agree with every politician now, but I look, is this step that he's taking or she's taking are essential to our existence? Because we are having an existential threat. We have no time and no energy for small fights. We have to look at the main road. Is this main road going to lead us anywhere on the macro level as a country? And then we will deal with the micro level issues. We will deal with everything within our country. But for now, when we have an existential threat, we need to think in an existential mode. And in existential mode, we need to be very wise, not to stop at every challenge and take it as the main thing. And I'm talking here with symbols and very philosophical way, because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm not against anyone. I know everyone is right. Everyone in Israel is right. But is it the time, or is it not the time? That's the question. First, for me, it's different because I cannot be Islamophobic because I grew up in a mixed village. My best childhood friend was Muslim, so I can never be Islamophobic. So they cannot claim that I can be Islamophobic. This is a very ridiculous claim. But if you are not aware of Islam and they claim based on facts, tell them like this. Tell them is claiming that claiming that I'm Islamophobic is that treating an abused woman as phobic from her husband. She's wounded. You see the facts that they are attacking us, and you still blame us of being Islamophobic. Is just like blaming the victim and the abused part, unless you're not convinced that we are the victim. So if you are not convinced that we are the victim, come and see yourself. I invite you to Israel. I invite you to see the footages. I invite you to see the atrocities movie of October 7th or whatever. So don't judge. Apparently, okay, we are Islamophobic. Give me the facts that you based your analysis upon. What facts do you have? Am I blaming them for something that didn't happen? Or am I blaming them with no scars on my body, with no facts on the ground? If you're still blaming us of being Islamophobic after seeing that after listening to their muftis saying وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ, their muftis are not hiding their agenda. They're saying it. You just need to translate, read the subtitles. We are not speaking on their behalf. We are not judging them. They are telling us. You just need to open your ears and hear them. When you hear them, you will know if we are Islamophobic or not. We are not Islamophobic. You are Islamo-analphabetic. You have no knowledge about them whatsoever. Go study. This is what I would answer, basically. If you have a better answer, let me know. I can use it too. There is two main issues. When it's Jewish-Arab conflict, it's a colonialism. And when it's Arab-Arab conflict, it's sectarian violence. And this is how they like to frame it. And this is what makes the West feel good about themselves. The Jewish people are colonials, are white colonials now, who we are to prevent the revolution and giving back their countries. When it's Arab, when it's two minorities, and here it's very important to use two minorities, oh, these are tribes or two tribes fighting with each other, who we are to get involved. Now, I'm going to tell you something. We know that neither of these claims are truthful, because Israel, it's called Israel. Like, what is more obvious than this? Israel is the father of the Jewish people, is Yaakov. It's called Mount, the Jewish people are another thing refers to them by the Arabs themselves called Zionists, Sahiyuniyun. Zion is Mount Zion in Israel. Yahud, Judea, Yahud in Arabic. I'm using the Arabic phrases, not any Israeli phrase or Jewish phrase. Yahud. They call them Yahud. Yahud refers to Judea and Samaria, is in Israel. If we leave all of this, lingual proofs, go to archaeological proofs, what is built upon what? Is the mosque built upon the Jewish temple, or is the Jewish temple built upon the mosque? Logically, the one that is built first is first. Period. End of story. Go to more archaeological, historical. Now, you want to deny all of these facts, the history, the Jewish history written on their books, even part of the Muslim Quran. If you read the Quran, I read the Quran. A lot of surahs in the Quran mention Ard Israel. They mention this. They have the proof within their own books that this belongs to the Israeli people. Now, we don't need to argue about proofs because they are there. They just don't want to look at it, because again, we go back to the narrative that they've been working so hard on building on the educational institutions and the mainstream media, because they know these two entities are very powerful. And of course, the lobbying and the public diplomacy that they are doing, they're very strong. They have so many organizations here working on lobbying, buying senators, buying congressmen, paying for them to publish their agendas and laws that protect their agenda. So we need to look at this as a complex matter to fight. So my organization mainly focuses on advocacy. It started to advocate for Israel through the eyes of a minority member, which is me, as Druze, as Israeli who grew up there, not being Jewish, to explain about Israel beyond the conflict. Now, after October 7th, I started also to advocate more briefly about all the misinformation about Israel or the struggles that we have. And I found the need, because I'm now American, I'm a mom of two American kids. I found the need to expose radical Islam, how it affects not only Israel, but the whole Middle East, and also here in the USA, which we started, by the way, back then in 2010. We were among the first people, as part of the Stand With Us organization, to warn the world about this cultural jihad that is pouring money into our educational system, brainwashing our kids, even here in the USA. And a few years ago, they started, exposing all the data about the amounts of money that some radical countries, we call them radical countries or supportive of radical Islam, were funding our universities here, leading universities. So that was part of it. And then I also partnered with other organizations. We raised money and helped with PTSD trauma treatments for the victims of October 7th. When the massacre in the Druze province, Sweden, had happened, I also used my platform to advocate for the Druze and for Israel, because the Druze issue in Sweden is related to Israel 100%. They live just a few miles from our northern border. Whatever is happening there is going to affect us. So I'm trying to advocate for these risks, how we can, challenge them and solve them in a way that will benefit not only Israel, but also the Druze in Sweden. So this is basically what we do. Yes. Advocacy and some how helping PTSD trauma people. And As for the Druze, I just want to tell you something about the Druze. That's why, in fact, I wanted to ask for more time. The Druze are ethno-religious minority. They are neither Arabs nor Muslims. No one knows that because along the history, we know that our oral history is well preserved. We are the descendants of Jethro. Jethro was the father-in-law of Moses. If you look at Jethro's names, his daughter's name, Zipporah, the wife of Moses, these are Aramic names. So the main language wasn't even Arabic. Now, within thousands of years, we lived until the Muslim Caliphate Hakim bi-Amrillah in Egypt. We lived in low profile. We immigrated. No one knows why we immigrated from ancient Levant, from Israel, where it was located Midian and everything. We immigrated to Egypt. During the Islamic Caliphate, I can give a 1 hour lecture about this, but I want to just tell you, we adopted the Islamic patterns and way of life and the Arabic language because we also were forced to have it. We are a small minority after all. Just look at the Iraqi Jews or the Moroccan Jews. They have more Moroccan culture within them when they came to Israel than Jewish culture. They lost their language, they lost their culture. Now, thanks to the Zionist movement who revived the Hebrew language, and thanks to Israel that was re-established and brought all the Jews together. For smaller minorities who seek no territorial ambitions, the Druze seek no territorial ambitions, and their religion is more philosophical. So we don't have this power or money to revive our culture. That's why you see that our culture was somehow vanishing, and now we speak Arabic. But if you look at our DNA tests, recent DNA researches from 2008 until now, every single DNA research proves our oral story that we are pre-Islam. We even carry the Kohanim gene. The Kohanim gene is very ancient gene that exists only within the Jewish people and the Druze people, by the way. Other DNA tests was aimed to I can give one lecture about that, but every single DNA research gave us a distinctive identity, DNA identity from the Arabs and the Muslims, of course. And not only that, one of the researches, none of them done by Israel, by the way, all done by American and European institutions. One of it showed that the Druze DNA is very typical, almost typical to the Ashkenazi Jewish DNA. And if you know our oral history, our pattern of moving, where we came from, where we ended, you will see why. It's very logical. As I said, I can give separate lecture about it. But things got mixed up. Now, when they see that this minority again is being there is an ethnic cleansing attempt against it, they don't see these differences because our story is, no one is talking about it, no one knows it. And they see us as another sectarian violence, tribes that are fighting. No one cares about us. It's all refers to the narrative. The narrative is controlled by those who are committed on their agenda, on their ideology, and we need to fight this in order to solve these problems. Now, the only entity that is helping the Druze is Israel. If they have for the Women Rights Committee, they put, I guess, Iran or Saudi Arabia as the head of this committee. So how can you trust these people? Like, I am not fool to trust them whatsoever. To unite our forces, to work on having lobbying efforts here in the USA and in the Europe, we need to work together. When we work together, it's not a Jewish matter, it's not a Druze matter, it's a regional matter. It's very essential now, especially in Syria. If you ask me personally, I have some contacts in the Kurdish province and as well as the Druze province, and I have some also contacts with the Alawites. Currently, with this interim government, and I don't see that this interim government is going to be changed anytime soon unless they fight each other. I know that just yesterday, there was a big fight between some ISIS groups, Turkmen or Kazakhstan, the foreigner soldiers. There was a fight between them and some of the national security forces, which it's still ISIS, by the way, but now they are fighting over powerful stuff. So unless they fight each other I don't see they're going away anytime soon. Now, I want to just emphasize that as soon as they came to power, the main two things that they did in the first month, they changed the constitution, and that was the main reason why the Druze people didn't want to join this government, because they said, we want, if you remember if you look it up, the main speech of Hajari, Sheikh Hajari, which is the leader now in Sweden, he said, we want the constitution of Syria to include all Syrians. And now the constitution is based on the Salafi jihadi agenda and branch in Islam, which is very like Wahhabi, but more radical, and it doesn't include any minorities. The second change that they did, they changed the educational system. They changed all the curriculum. They even translated one surah in the Quran and the religious lessons for the students. It used to be وَلَا الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. They used to translate this, the infidels, let's say. It was the infidels. Now, with this government, they translates it the Jews and the Christians. So this is where this country is heading. The minorities there know. The Alawites agreed to surrender their weapons, and they were faced with a very brutal massacre. Same happened with the Christian people in the coast. So I don't think that the Kurdish people, neither the Kurdish people nor the Druze people, are willing to surrender their weapons at any cost, because they saw what had happened to the Alawites and to the Christians. And the Kurdish people, I'm not aware of the fact that they surrendered their weapons. They haven't. Actually, I think that the Kurdish provinces are very organized now, and I think they have some sort of independency or federalization. They have some sort of autonomy. The Druze people are still not there, especially with the starvation siege, but they're not going to give up on this right, because for the Druze people, what is happening now is going to continue, especially for the Druze, because the Syrian government sees the Druze as the obstacle, not only because who they are, which is part of it, because now they call us Zionists. You know that they call the Druze in Sweden the Zionists, the Jewish people. They say that now the Druze people had peeled all of this protection on top of them, and now they exposing their real skin, which is they are Jewish. So they now connect us directly to Israel. I don't see there will be any reconciliation with the Druze. The Kurdish people are so strong now somehow to give up any achievements that they got. So I don't see, answering your question, I don't see any other solution but to have to dismantle Syria, to give these people, okay, you want to control Damascus, but the other province, the other minorities, everyone has the right of self-determination. What they will do with it is up to them, but self-determination is a basic right for any minority that is oppressed and massacred, and I don't think they should give up on it. Yes, for listening to me, and you know, every one of you guys is the hope for what is going to happen in the future, because you are aware. Awareness is the first step on everything.